socks bright enough, Sam?
They're just like you. Bright and ugly. I'm joking, that was harsh. You're beautiful, and so are your socks.
And I've got the longer beard, and the better beard, because I haven't trimmed mine.
I haven't fucking trimmed mine.
You've trimmed it, you have trimmed
Stop
it.
trying to cheat your way out of this task. I wouldn't trim it because I want the longest beard by the end of this as well. Although I really want to trim it, I hate this challenge. I hate it, Jack. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking horrible, isn't it?
It itches.
I can't stand it.
It itches, and there's no way at this stage of making it look good.
I had to justify it to one of my top governors the other day, because he said, Jack, he's starting to look like a bit of a homeless man. And I said, Gov, I said, I'm telling you now, I said, this is only going to get worse. He looked at me like puzzled and polite. I said, it's only going to get worse. I said, I've got to grow this until Christmas. I said, so you're just going to have to get used to it. I'm sorry. I said, if you've got any visitors coming in who need escorting, don't pick me.
Do you know what you look like?
What?
You look like you should have an axe.
Axe?
Yeah, and be chopping trees down. You do. You look like a lumberjack, man.
I look like a lumberjack.
Lumberjack!
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Jack.
How you doing?
I'm alright, mate.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a mad couple of days. It's just, well, not mad, but well, yeah, it was. I'm sweating. Look at me.
Can you make your mind up, please?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
let me tell you the story.
Number one, it's very warm in here.
Yeah,
You've
I've
got
been
a hoodie
cooking.
on. You've been cooking.
Yeah, I've been cooking.
You've got candles burning.
I've got candles going.
It smells nice.
There for the aroma.
But you look like shit.
Thanks, mate. Last night, well, let me go back. Remember I had the car problems?
Yes, oh Christ, yeah.
I had three different things go wrong with the window wipers of all things.
Hell of a saga, this.
Yeah, I had three different things go wrong with, the window wipers. Three different people said it was a different part.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a fortune on window wipers. No man should ever spend that much money on window wipers. Anyway, got them fixed. Then the electrics went out on the car, and it was going to cost me another 180 quid.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm spending more money here than what I spent on the car. So I got a new car. Gary, my sponsor, who done an episode, if you go back and listen to that.
Episode
7, 8, maybe? I don't know, go and look. Check them all out way there.
I mean, we've got so many now.
Yeah, I know. But he sorted me out a car, bless him, a 7-seater, the kids love it and that.
Okay.
I'm driving back from Colchester. There was something wrong with the wheel and that spring.
How did you tell?
The noise it was making.
Lovely. Yeah, that's always good.
And the beeper, the sensor was going off on the. I was plugged in, but it doesn't recognise I'm plugged in. So all the way back from Colchester, it was going beep beep beep. Oh, it's doing everything. But can't be ungrateful. Took it to the garage, and the bloke was like, "They always say this. Oh yeah, I've just done one. I didn't even look at it. I know what that is. It's the spring. I've just done one of them. They're quite expensive, them parts. So I thought, how convenient.
Without even looking at it, you deemed it very expensive.
Yeah. So he said it was going to be about 300 quid. Rung Gary up, and Gary said, "No, bring it up. My mum could do with a 7-seater this weekend anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up because I went to my meeting in Colchester last night." And I'll sort you out another car to take back home. My mum will borrow that, I'll get it fixed. My mum will borrow it and we'll swap it back over Sunday. Thought, great. Went up there, got stuck in traffic, and I was trying to get up there nice and early because we had the meeting. I had someone in the car here and a newcomer behind me. And we finally got out of the traffic, so it was a bit of a rush around. Gary was going to give me a van, but it was a 2-seater. I had a newbie in the back, so there was 3 of us. So we had to rush around getting a different car. Got the car, it was out of fuel, so I was trying to find, and I'm in Colchester in a different end to where my meeting normally is, so I didn't know where I was. Panicking, like trying to find the thing. Got to a petrol station just in the nick of time because it was starting to die. Got the door wouldn't open, by the way, of this new car. Brilliant. So I was having to climb out the window to fill the gas up. We got to the meeting, we were about 10 minutes late, and I'm late to everything, but I hate being late to them because I know it puts the talker off and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we was anyway, it was out of my control. Stuck 30 quid in it. Driving home, and it was saying I was running out of diesel again. I thought, that must be the gauge, that can't be right. So I got Steve, got the bloke who was next to me home, got the bloke in the back home, and I got just outside my flat here, and it just completely conked out, and it wasn't working. I don't know if it's fuel or whatnot. So 2 kind strangers had to come and help me push it into the side of the road.
So where are you at now with your car situation?
Well, then I put the car on the side of the road and got to my flat and thought I'd ring Gary and let him know. Mm-hmm. Got to my flat, my door keys were in the other vehicle left in Colchester. so I had to wake my poor old neighbour up, and then I rang Gary. He come down and picked me up today to take me up to sort of get a van, so I've now got a van. But I went to do the dip this morning. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to get hold of Gary because I'm just doing the dip because there's a newcomer coming down. Shut the door behind me, locked out again. So after this podcast, I'm going to the shop to get some chocolates and some flowers for my neighbour, and I'm going to put them on her door and apologise for waking her up in the evening last night and in the morning this morning. Oh. So bless her heart. But yeah, it was quite hectic. So it started my day off on.
I mean, to be honest with you, mate. I mean, I've talked about my car problems I had at the end of last year. It's stressful. It's really crap, and I'm not a car person, so anytime something goes wrong, I just want something that works. Yeah. I can get about in, and that's all I want.
Because you had that, didn't you? You rang me and you were stuck on the side of the road. You were there for hours as well.
Yeah, I did. I had 8 hours on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I mean, I was persistent with getting it. Going through the complaints and getting it all done and get it done properly, and I ended up getting some compensation back for that day. But it's a disaster, and I just find anything like that just adds stress and unneeded anxiety to your day. Yeah. Which
it was. Do you know what though? That was stressful last night, but reflecting on it today and yesterday, I was a lot less stressed than what I normally would be. Yeah. And I think that might be a lot to do with how far I've come, obviously. But taking caffeine out of my diet, I've still not had a coffee since we last spoke, and I feel so much better for it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I did love a coffee, but the same with anything I love, I completely abuse it, and then I spoil it for myself because I can't have it anymore. But it's the same with any stimulant like.
What are you drinking right there, sir?
This is kombucha. Which might explain my slight high now.
You're getting on the old booch.
You introduced me to this.
Did I? Was it from me?
Yeah, I absolutely love the stuff. Oh, wow. This is no sugar though, and this isn't caffeine, is it?
Nope.
It's a live culture drink. But
I think there might be a little because it's like a kind of green tea, like a fermented green tea.
Yeah. Well, you always feel good after you've done it, and I think they're actually quite healthy.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They're good for you, and that's an alternative to fizzy drinks that doesn't have all the bad stuff that fizzy drinks do. Well, it's natural. It's a natural.
Yeah. Well, this was meant to be an intro, but perhaps we'll just do our own little episode and carry on talking because I've always struggled with the thought of having a non-alcoholic drink, but I've always wanted an alternative going out. It's like when I'm in and everything, I don't just want a drink. When I'm in, I can just drink water. I'm fine. Yeah. But when I'm out and about and you're feeling a bit sophisticated, I'd like a different option. But the non-alcoholic drinks scare the life out of me. I just think there'd be a massive trigger for me. But I know some people get on with them and that.
A lot of places are stopping that now.
Stopping this? Stocking. Yeah, it is. It's coming about, and I just think this sat in the pub in the summer. I mean, say me and you went out for the day or something, and sat in a beer garden. I could quite easily sit there and drink one of these. And
do you know what, mate? I've been flying the flag for a long time for kombucha. I took flack in the early days because that was a new thing on the market. Not a lot of people were drinking it or knew what it was. Yeah, I was flying the flag, saying, "Yep, this stuff is." Some
might even say you're Mr. Kombucha.
Well, I think that could be one of many nicknames added to the list. Mr. Kombucha. I've been drinking that for a long time, and I took a lot of grief early days because people mocked me for drinking something stupid, is what they'd say. It's a stupid drink you're drinking.
It wasn't me that said that, was it?
It might have been. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great, and I would recommend it as an alternative for people, especially people who are addicted to like energy drinks and caffeinated drinks and that sort of thing. I know a few. I've worked with a few. You disgusting specimens who live on diets of energy drinks and cigarettes. I do not salute you.
Yeah. God, that's mad, isn't it?
It is.
I used to drink Red Bull, and I remember at one of my jobs once, I brought. And this is when things were cheaper. But I bought 20 fags and a packet of 4 Red Bull.
Yeah.
And my manager said to me, "You're an idiot," and I had to agree. But she said, for 2 hours, if I said to you, "Come in for 2 hours and I'll give you 4 Red Bulls and a packet of cigarettes," you wouldn't do it, would you? And I was like,
absolutely
no.
Not.
And she was like, "Well, why have you just spent 2 hours?" And it's in other news, moving on.
In other news,
spoke to Harry yesterday, who we done the podcast with last.
Yeah, top lad.
Yeah, great bloke. Hi Harry.
Hi Harry.
Yeah, I'm going to get him back on in a couple of weeks. He mentioned to us when he done the last podcast that he still sometimes had them negative thoughts in the morning and everything. Set him a challenge, and he's
Is he doing it?
He's been doing it every single day.
Fantastic.
And he said
maybe leave it for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
He's about to start Ramadan.
Yeah, definitely.
Ramadan starts this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's in the future anyway. But he's
Yeah.
going to come and do the dip. I'm doing a one-on-one dip with him.
Yeah.
In a couple of days.
Good.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. If anyone's listening, and I love going down and being part of the community, but I'm also very aware that some people don't like big crowds, and,
Yes,
and that's a
agree.
big thing with mental health.
Yeah.
So I have been doing one-on-one dips with people a bit further up the beach, and I quite enjoy them as well. For myself, I get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah.
So if anyone's struggling and they don't want to join a big crowd, come and do a couple of one-on-one dips, and I promise once people start doing the cold water, they'll get confidence to join in with the rest anyway.
Yeah.
But Harry, just from doing this short amount of time with the cold showers, he's noticed a massive difference, and he's going to continue doing it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good. He's a great lad, and he's got a real positive spin on life, considering where his thought processes have gone previously. So, all the best to him. I really hope
it
benefits.
shows just changing one thing, how drastic that.
Yeah.
Just changing one thing in your morning routine, how drastic that can be to you and have an impact on your life is incredible. Yeah. And you think once you go off momentum and change one thing, start changing others, and even you're still learning. I've got my morning routine down to a T now, and it's really been beneficial for my mental health. But I never once thought about changing my evening routine, and now I started changing a couple of things to that as well. My life's improving even more.
Yeah.
So every day is a learning curve.
Totally agree with you, mate. And that's basic principles, isn't it? Get your morning routine right. That'll benefit you.
Absolutely, mate. What else should we talk about? Because we started an episode now.
Well, we kind of have. We've got a bit of time though. Who have we got coming on the show today?
Today we've got Kaye coming on the show.
Kaye. And who's Kaye?
She's in the fellowship that I go to in Colchester, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
You're going to be very inspired.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great. She's got a great story in that. I don't want to say too much because we haven't spoken to her about what we're going to talk about yet.
So there's a life of addiction?
Yeah, it's to do with addiction and stuff. To be honest, mate, I should have really spoke to her first to see what. I think she's a bit of an open book like myself. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've got to wear glasses.
Wow.
That come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is. You've got to wear glasses.
I went and got my eyes tested today.
Do you know what they call glasses up in the northeast?
Specs.
Geps.
Geps. Why?
Put your geps on.
Geps. I've got to put my geps on.
Yeah. Creps.
Creps and geps.
And geps.
Creps and geps. Yeah, I went in and got my eyes tested. I've been having headaches, and this eye's just felt really strained the last few days.
You had an eye test?
So I booked an eye test in true hypochondriac style. I thought I had a brain tumour, so I was getting ready to say my goodbyes to everyone.
100%.
Booked an eye test because they could check for all that now. And went in this morning and everything was all clear, which I was thrilled about.
Funny enough,
but they did say that this eye's straining because when it's getting stressed out when I have to concentrate on something, really, like you or the TV. Oh. No, the TV or probably my phone, because I am highly addicted to my device. So I've got to wear glasses when I'm driving at night, watching TV or reading. Yeah. I don't really do a lot of reading, but I'll put them on when I put my audiobook on.
Well, it's not a bad thing, mate. It's
apart from
part of life.
Apart from I have no fashion sense. I don't think, Jack. So, I have to mirror other people's. I put about 15 pairs of glasses on today, and I looked a twat in all of them.
An arsehole with glasses.
Yeah. They didn't suit me. I don't know if it's not there. So maybe you can come with me.
I can't wait. Genuinely,
I've made the wrong choice.
No, you've made the best choice. It's going to be fantastic. Let's make a date of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week we'll go into Specsavers and we'll get me.
Let's do it.
A pair of Kimps.
Geps.
Potato. What is it?
Anyway, speaking of the northeast, I had a beautiful time up in the northeast for a whole week.
Beautiful. It looked good, mate.
We've done 3 days in the Lake District. And that was exactly what I needed. I felt like I just got to a point where I needed a bit of a break and to separate myself from reality and work and everything, and to be able to escape into an area of the country like that. That's just what I needed, mate. It's just so stunning, peaceful, quiet. The air seems cleaner, and that's the best.
So it looked amazing, mate. It looked really good.
Yeah, we done Great Gable, which I think is the 5th highest peak in England. And that's right next door to Scarfell Pike. So that's
where we're going next.
Yeah, that's within the same area. So
you sent me some dates and I said no because this car was going to cost a fortune.
Yeah,
it's not going to cost me as much now, so we might be able to do it. We'll talk about it.
But you mugged me off.
I didn't mug you off.
You did.
All right. But that's going to be me and you.
Yeah.
Me and you hiking up that mountain.
Yeah.
And reaching the top, and then when we go to Wales in the summertime, I think we're going to go with Rob and that again.
We'll do Snowdon.
Yes, Snowdon.
Yeah.
That'll be the 3 highest peaks. It took me 24 months. You done it in 24 hours. Twice.
So, as always, like and subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Dare to Talk. I am Jackie Boy Shep on Instagram. Sam is Dare_2_dip because I can say it first time, but he can't ever. YouTube, Spotify, Dare to Dip Facebook group. Ask to join. Fantastic bunch of people. Every day, so weekdays 6:30, weekends 7:30, right down by Felixstowe Pier in lovely Felixstowe. There is a fantastic group of people that goes and does a dip every morning in the North Sea. 10 minutes in the cold water to start your day is the best way to start your day. There's a whole back catalogue of episodes. This will be episode 48, I want to say. You've got 40 odd episodes of fantastic guests that we've had previously to go back and listen to. Enjoy the episode with Kaye. Peace
out. And also I've always got throughout like my life or stints of poor mental health or addiction, like, oh my god, you'd never know it, you know, because I always managed to put on this facade, and I think it would be really nice for other people that are walking around like pretending to be okay or just pretending to be someone that they're not, to know like I did that too, and it's really easy to convince people that you're fine, but you can be just dying inside.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
And there's so many people doing that, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think your story is important because I've heard you inside the rooms and everything, and just the way you say it, and that is so inspirational that I think a wider audience would benefit from it, you know. Right. So that's why I asked you to come on and thought it'd be good for you, and we've already started anyway.
Yeah.
We won't say anything.
Continue as you've been talking.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about, because it's more, this is like less anonymous than the fellowship that I'm in. There are certain things that I probably wouldn't talk about out of respect to like family members.
This is an opportunity. This is just an opportunity for you to tell your story in the way you want to tell it.
I've been listening to your podcast actually. I really enjoyed them. Yeah. It was funny because I was thinking on the way up here, as you do. This is the complete ego orientated thing of like what I'm going to say and certain things, and I was sort of going back in my head over like some really painful times and how that was on my family. And in one of your podcasts, there was a lady that spoke about the different perspective of addiction. She lost her partner, and And that was so painful to hear, even though I know that I put my family through that, and I know that they went through, obviously, thankfully I'm still here, but, you know, the pain I put it through, to really hear that raw pain coming from her, but how she had still ended up with that empathy and that and a different kind of perspective to what she had when she was in it. That was I really enjoyed listening to that.
Powerful episode.
So powerful.
That was Lucy, where we both come out of that episode after we recorded and we were a mess, both of us.
We were just take an hour or so just to get a shit.
Yeah, I think we had a little break from the podcast.
Yeah, we did,
didn't we? Yeah. The event I'm doing in July, Lucy's coming. She's a guest of honour for the thing, so you'll get a chance to meet her.
I'm really excited to meet her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I look forward to that.
She was just at an event with Callum Best. She just had breakfast with him the other morning.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
They were talking.
Is he in recovery?
His dad.
I know his
Best,
dad
yeah,
was. That's right.
And then he had problems, and now he's sorting out and goes to meetings and talks and stuff.
Wow.
He'd done really well on Celebrity SAS.
Yeah,
show
I didn't
as well.
see that one, but I
No,
heard about it.
I'll have to watch that.
He'd done very well on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a likeable chappy.
Yeah, as you're very likeable as well.
Right.
Yeah, so getting back to you, do you
Lots of practice with wanting people to like me, I think. That's a good way to start my story, actually, because that is how I spent my life. Just desperate to be liked and loved, and my upbringing wasn't idyllic. There was, you know, some areas of trauma there. I'm not going to go into it. My mum wasn't always a very well woman. She suffered quite badly with her mental health, and my dad's an addict. He was absent for most part, but he's an active heroin addict as we speak. And I had a lot of blame, I think. I don't anymore, thankfully, because of the fellowship and the work that I've done. But I was very angry, and I was very frightened, and I spent my life desperate to find attention, like hungry for it. And it came out in some of the weirdest behaviours. So I always wanted people to love me, and I wanted people to be looking at me, and I wanted to be the centre of the universe, and I would do anything I could to get attention. And some really bizarre things that I look back now and laugh at, like my sister would get nosebleeds. She used to get really chronic nosebleeds, and she'd get a lot of attention from my mum from it, and I remember desperately wanting to have nosebleeds. And I was playing out on the estate once, and there was like an overspilled tip, and there was a dart, you know, that you play darts with on the floor, and I picked it up and I poked it in my nose to give myself a nosebleed, and run back and lied to my mum and said, I've got this nosebleed. And that went on all through primary school. We moved a ton. I went to like 13 different primary schools, and I was bullied when I was younger in quite a few of them. But if there was ever a special needs kid or anyone that had something that drew them extra care or extra attention from the teachers, I would mimic it. So I actually started to mimic a disabled girl who had like a fitted boots foot. She had like a disabled leg, and she'd have to have one of those boots with the extra bottom, and she would limp. I just started to walk with a limp, and I did it for months, you know, to try and convince my mum that I had something wrong with me. And the same with another boy in a different school who had like nerve damage in his hand from an accident. His fingers were like this. So I started to do that, and my mum was always taking me to the doctors for these illnesses that I'd created, that I'd seen someone have, and that would get them attention. And so in my warped little brain, I thought, if I did that, you know. And I really look at that with like such empathy now, having like out the other side. Like it was something we would laugh at like when we'd get together as a family and be like, I was such a drama queen, you know, so self-seeking, needing attention, and I would laugh about it. But actually, when I think about it, it's really quite sad, you know. I find that quite sad for that child. And I was like that through life. I was desperate for male attention, because really toxic history with men, you know, my father being absent, a lot of my mum's partners were toxic, some violent, you know, and there was a turnover. Men were the enemy, so I was really seeking just like, I can't explain it any other way. It was like see me, love me, you know, just wanted, and I just would go to any lengths to get that. And sometimes I would manage to get it from, say, a friendship group, because I found quite a good friendship group in secondary school, or I might get it from a boyfriend, and then it just like wasn't enough. I was convinced, like, when, you know, like you've got like this insatiable thirst, really thirsty, like if you've woken up in the middle of the night and I don't know if you drink, Jack, but if you've, you know, had a real good drink up and you wake up and you're just so fucking thirsty, aren't you? Like, you could die from it. And then you have that drink and it's amazing. I had that thirst always, and I couldn't make head nor tail of it, you know, but I was just like itchy. And I couldn't quench it. I just couldn't fucking quench it. You know, I might get the boyfriend or I might get the job, but it wouldn't go away. And there were periods where I'd become like quite unwell, and I couldn't make sense of it, and no one around me. And I kind of got characterised, or not characterised, I guess characterised, but the dramatic one. I was the drama queen. There was always a drama when it came to me, and there was always a drama when it came to me, and I guess played up to that role a little bit as well. Kind of became that role, and I guess that role gave me this like identity. So it was kind of a bit bittersweet, you know. I was the drama queen in a jesty way, so I was like, oh, that's to get me attention. But then, you know, when I was sick, it became a negative thing. She's being dramatic. She's being dramatic again. God, there's always a drama with you, you know. So sometimes I could use it to my advantage to get me that attention, but other times, I didn't like being that way, because when I wasn't feeling well, you know, it was almost like that wasn't really being taken seriously. And then I started to think, God, am I making this up? You know, because I have a history of copying, you know, I have a history of, wanting attention. So it was a really confusing time, and I found alcohol, and alcohol just took that thirst away a bit for me. It certainly didn't, it subsided it. It wasn't really till I found drugs where it just completely quenched my thirst.
What age was you when you found the alcohol?
Well, I was smoking weed from a teenager, so I probably started smoking weed at 12, and I was addicted to that from the off. You know, I spent my GCSEs high. When I went to school, didn't really go to school, bunked off a lot. Naughty kid, you know, lots of fighting. Wouldn't go out unless there was weed involved, and so alcohol then as well.
So the weed started first, and then the alcohol progressed after. How long did you have a relationship with alcohol before it turned to the other drugs? I had
a reasonably, what would be perceived as a normal relationship with alcohol for that age, up until I found cocaine, which was around 22. I want to say 22, 23. And that was when everything changed, really.
That's interesting though. You could put the drink down before you found the
cocaine. I mean, you know, I was always the person that never wanted the party to end. And you know, I always wanted anything that I did that was social to involve alcohol, but by no means had it got hold of me at that point. It kind of took away the feelings, all of those anxious, irritable feelings, but didn't eliminate it completely. And I think the combination of alcohol and drugs, like, literally took me outside of my body and made every single bit of emotional pain, torment, all the noise in my head, all the voices or like narrations of everything gone. Like, wow, what a fucking revelation.
Would you, when you found drink and drugs and that, did the imitation of other people stop as well then? Did it, you know, you were imitating like...
Oh right, yeah. Well, that was more when I was a kid. I think obviously when I got older, I knew I couldn't get away with that. No one's going to believe that I just turned disabled overnight. You know what I mean? I got a bit wiser to that game. But you know, I was always a social chameleon. I could adapt to any, like, if I was with a particularly like articulate, a group of friends, I would become more articulate, or if I was with people that were more like urban, you know, I was really good at, I could just fit in with anyone. And I needed to.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Can you?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? Isn't it weird though, Sam? Because when you look back and that's all you'd spent your life doing. At like which point was you Kaye? Or which point was you Sam?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's still something I have to work on daily now. If I'm talking to someone with like a London accent or something, I start speaking London and realise it, and I have to rein myself back in and notice it's an old behaviour.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and when I think about that, I think it's certainly in the last 10 months since I've been in recovery, back in recovery, I think I feel quite sad. Like I'm 38 in August, and I can look back now on my life, especially the way I am and how well I am in these last 10 months, and really feel so sad that I've never ever been myself. I've never been myself, I've never felt myself, I've never felt like peaceful, calm, happy.
Do you know what though, I think that sometimes, but on the other side of that, some people go their whole life without realising who they actually are. At least Absolutely. Now you're starting, me and you both starting to figure it out, and we're very lucky and blessed for that, because there's so many people that either die not knowing themselves or go their whole life and never figure it out. Do you know what I mean? So it is.
Even I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I don't truly feel like I found who I was until I went through all of my trauma and my stuff that I went through, my battles, and going through that hardship that I really kind of got to the root of who I am and what I'm about. I think. We spoke about it before. You don't always need those rock bottoms.
No, exactly.
To really find
That's
yourself,
what we try and prevent.
Yeah.
But just listening to you talk about your childhood there and having so much awareness about it now and seeing where you went, and it's only now 18 months into recovery this time, because this is the first time I found the fellowship. But before I'd got sober and everything, but I was still really ill, because even though I was 2 years sobriety, I was mentally fucked because I wasn't doing no growing. But it's only literally now having conversations like these that I start to notice when I was younger that I was doing stuff like that and having these weird thoughts and over analysing chest pains and stuff, and I never even noticed that before, and never even noticed that is the reactions to my behaviours today stemming from my childhood. Do you know what I mean?
And would we have ever seen it, like if we hadn't have got to like this, for me personally, like this fellowship and the work that I've done in this kind of spiritual growth? Well, I don't think I would have ever looked back and gone, oh my God, do you remember that time when you did that? That was because of that, or that was self-seeking. That was, I didn't even know, like, really, that a lot of the stuff why I was doing it, and I'm only really like looking back at my whole life now with these new set of eyes going, God, fuck, you were fucked like from quite young.
I can 100% relate to that, and I'm exactly the same with you. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, and that's why these talks are so powerful, because not only are we all getting something from it, the people that are listening will as well, and it opens up that new area of thinking and thinking, oh right, that's why I was like this, that's why I'm like that now, and then you can move forward, and that's where the growth is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you know, like although I have moments of sadness for the time wasted, I don't think I ever would have got here to the place of peace and calm and serenity and freedom, and I use the word freedom so fiercely. Like, I've never been so free in my life. I would never have had this level of spirituality without all of those things and everything that I had to go through, or that I put myself through, because I take a lot of responsibility for, you know, choices that I made. I would never be here without it. So I'm sad, and I feel sad for that Kaye. I feel really gutted for her. You know, like, you know, I don't have any compassion for her at all. While she was already quite a tormented human, and I talk about her in a third person because it just doesn't even feel like me anymore.
I'm so mad. This is trippy.
I never had any compassion for her. So she was fucked, poor girl, and then I tortured her. Like, I was just like, you know, you're a drama queen. This is I was so mean to myself, self-diagnosed myself with ADHD, and I've also diagnosed about 5 people in my fellowship that I'm friends with. Not that
but it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would, and it's got a lot to be answered for. I think, I can't wait to get diagnosed, because someone was saying to me, a good friend of me was literally on the phone to me, Dan from Man Up, today, saying he doesn't think it'd be a good idea for some people to get what was it? Diagnosed. It's a big word. He said he don't think.
Oh,
you
met Sam.
Some people, if they get diagnosed, then the symptoms become worse after. He thought, but with me, I've always been searching for something to be labelled. I know I'm a hypochondriac, but I knew there's something else, and my brain was working differently, and I think the diagnosis will be like the thing where I can say, at least it's that. So it's almost
confirmation.
Yeah. Another big word.
You say that. I was diagnosed with 2 mental illnesses throughout in my 20s. Yeah, and I felt exactly the same. My nan was a paranoid schizophrenic. We've got a lot of mental health. She was a very sick lady. And I wanted an explanation for why I was the way I was. And when I got my diagnosis, I got lots of medication and stuff. And I did feel a bit of a relief for a while. But I actually then, before the fellowship, I kind of ran with that, and I used that a lot to allow myself to use. Because my BPD, my general anxiety disorder, it was almost like
self-medicated.
It was like, I can't help it because that's how my brain works. An addiction had got hold of me by that point, and I just I needed to. I was so sick, and I was behaving so badly, and I was so selfish and self-centered, because I was so consumed with all this pain and confusion that I needed to give people an explanation as to why I was behaving this way, because it was madness to them, complete madness. And so all I had was, I'm BPD. But to be fair, I didn't have another answer for them, because I didn't fucking know myself. I
get that. It's mad, isn't it? Looking back, I used to research everything. Perhaps it's that, perhaps it's that, perhaps it's that, and it's an exhausting way to live. I think that's another reason why I want to be labelled as something, so I can stop. Stop like Dr. Google. But my mum got told that I had ADHD when I was a kid, but things were different back then, and she took offence to it. So.
Oh, really?
But she feels bad for it now, but she doesn't have to, because she's done more than enough to redeem herself.
More than enough. Good old mum.
Yeah, she's been good. So what's the future look like for you then?
Bright, hopefully. I spent my 20s in and out of hospitals, in and out of psychiatric units, done a stint in rehab, and just couldn't get well. But this shift has been completely different. I found the fellowship that I'm in now, and I've just been able to kind of just this sounds fucking well cheesy, but just really set my soul free from the pain and misery that I've spent my entire life in, both in and out of addiction. I was in chronic emotional pain before addiction took hold of me, and my life is different. I meditate, I pray, I try to stay active, I help other people.
That's one thing I was going to say. You reach out, don't you, and you help all the other women in the fellowship, and I think both of us have found peace in helping other people. I think that's where the key is, isn't it, to getting better, is the sort of step.
No, I know, it is. I know you know what I mean, the fellowship saved my life. I've been sober and clean before. I came out of rehab and done just under a year and a half, somewhere between a year and a half, clean and sober, but I was so sick. I was white knuckling it, and I was just doing it to get everyone off my back. And
you weren't doing it for yourself?
No.
Did you relapse after rehab, did you?
So I came out of rehab, and then I stayed clean and sober for about a year and a half, and then just to convince people I was well enough to be able to drink again. And then did that. Everyone was like, she's great, she's cured, she's fixed, and so then I started drinking again, and then the onslaught of.
How long did that relapse last?
it was kind of manageable, then unmanageable, manageable, then unmanageable. So what would happen is I'd have a massive breakdown and some kind of psychotic breakdown and a rock bottom, and then I'd pull my shit together for a while to keep everyone on board. I'm alright.
Did you find it added pressure to try and convince everyone you were right at the same time?
Hard work, yeah. As well, hard work. But that went on for like maybe 5-6 years, until this time round, which has been different. Yeah.
Amazing. And that's because you're doing your program, working it right.
I have to work it every day, and I've had to, it's just different. I mean, I can't. It just sounds really cheesy. I can't really explain it because there aren't really words to put into. Like, I can't articulate the emotional shift and the peace, like in my mind, and the way that I feel. Like I've never felt like I fitted in this body.
Yeah.
Like my skin was too tight.
And it shines through as well. You can see the people that are reaping the rewards from recovery as well, don't you? When you, without sounding too cheesy, but when you walk into the room, you light it up. Do you know what I mean? You're a massive member to the team up there, and
yeah, I do love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love our little community.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's people that are looking for the same answers as you are. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I always stress to people, because go at it alone and you end up alone again. But when you go at it with people, you can just I know now, if I was sat here in a dark place, I could bell you or someone else, and within 5-10 minutes be back on recovery again. Thinking, do you know what I mean? Whereas before, sat here, tried to go at it alone, and ended up fucking drinking and sniffing myself into an oblivion. And all I had to do before was pick up a phone.
I know, but we didn't know.
I rang the wrong person.
Yeah, of course.
I had a drug dealer called Frank. Do you remember that advert? Talking Frank. It was so confusing.
Oh dear, how funny. Yeah, but we didn't have a solution, and it didn't make sense to anyone around you. You know, my husband and my family and I've lost so many friends over the years for addiction, and I've caused so much pain.
What do you mean, like lost them? Like
they just, it was just too hard. You know, people that really, really loved me, and they just couldn't watch me do it to myself anymore. And ultimately, I think the guilt and the shame of everything that I'd put people through kind of just pushed people away as well. Yeah,
have you had to make them tough calls yourself? Because obviously when we go into it and you outgrow some people, John, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but some people who I love dearly have got to leave behind because I can't be around people that it's still on that journey, because I could be so easily sucked back into it, you know? So have you had to make them tough calls and step away from certain individuals?
I don't have any people in my life that use drugs anymore. No. I have my family drink, my husband drinks. Pretty much everyone I know drinks, but they're not addicts. But I don't have anyone near or dear to me that recreationally use drugs. I know people, but I wouldn't ever be spending time with anyone. You know, so I guess I have. But to be fair, like the people that I used to use and have sessions with and stuff, they weren't really ever my friends. They were go-tos, because my nearest and dearest, none of them use drugs. You know, they might be drinkers at best. I've got big drinking culture around me, but I had to make new friends to be able to use with.
Yeah, it's a law of attraction, isn't it? You I always say it, but you give in what you give out, and it's no coincidence when you're using taking drugs, you're on the same path as people doing that. And when you're trying to get sober, you attract people in your life like this bellend.
Yeah. Did you guys meet? How did you meet?
On the podcast, he was a guest.
I started. I came down to the dip. That was a few months before you finished, wasn't it? Before your year-long challenge, and. I followed him for a long while and thought, I'm going to go down one day, and that dragged on, and then one day I just thought, fuck it, I'll go down there and meet him, and we just clicked on the first sort of couple of conversations, and and then you got me on for the podcast as one of the early guests.
I had a different co-host at the beginning because I wanted to do the idea of the podcast at first was to have someone who didn't have any mental health or addiction problems and me, who had all of them. It was to get both sides of the fence, but the thing is, Jane done a good job, but he wasn't as passionate about it as what someone who's been in and amongst it. And Jack had a certain situation and then he come on and Jamie wanted to step away and it was just perfect timing, really.
So you are not an addict?
No.
But you have had mental health struggles?
Yeah. But that, like I say, that point in my life, that was kind of when I discovered sort of who I really am, and I've had a few other dips since then, but I think where I'm at now.
Most of them in the sea these days.
Yeah, most of my dips are. I'm sorry, Sarah. Most of my dips are in the sea now, and I find myself in a lot better place in life now, and I found myself a lot more self-aware and.
That's it, isn't it? Self-awareness.
Massively,
The revelation.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if you're a dick sometimes, but being the awareness that you have been a dick and to be able to rectify or apologise for that, that's the game changer.
That's that humbleness and being able to take criticism, take it on the chin, and then adjust yourself to get it right.
And not only self-awareness as who you are as a person now, it's so important what you were saying about the awareness of how your previous selves have been as well. Like even from a child and stuff like that, what you were saying at the beginning, like so many people will be able to relate to that. Because the self-awareness, how you have to look who you are now, but who you are now stems from your past selves. And there's different versions of the selves. You only have to look at your children to see how many different versions of you there is in your life. Do you know what I mean? So, it's very important to go back and look back but don't stare.
And the criticism part as well. I could not take criticism any form. My immediate response to criticism was defence.
Yes.
And I think that was because I was so ashamed and I was so critical of my own self. I loathed myself, like from the core, that like I couldn't bear to hear someone else say it. And I could, and it was just it would be attack. But I'm not, any criticism that comes my way now, it comes from love.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It comes from my fellows, or it might come from my sponsor, or maybe it will come from my mum if I'm having a conversation about my husband, and she'll be like, well, have you thought about it from his perspective? A lot of the time I actually can see other people's perspective now, but I just receive criticism with like, you are obviously saying that because you care about me and you want the best for me, so rather than go for your jugular, I'm going to mull that over.
That's great.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going to mull that over and not hate you for it.
How has your relationship with your family and all your loved ones changed since you've been in recovery then?
Oh yeah, God, amazing really. My relationship with my mum's, not a well woman. She suffers with her mental health. She had a very traumatic upbringing and she done her best with what she knew how. We have a really beautiful relationship now. Just a really loving and empathetic relationship. And I was just riddled with blame for that woman. I blamed everything on her and my dad. And I have so much compassion for what she did and what she pulled herself through and went through, mentally, physically, and how she did it on her own. And now I've just nothing but compassion for her. And everything in my life is manageable. I'm the most amazing mum. I'm a great friend. I'm reliable. I'm responsible. I'm a good wife. I love with my heart rather than with words, because I didn't have the capacity to feel feelings. When I was sick, when I was back then, I was just riddled with so much pain and guilt and shame and anxiety. I wanted to be nice, and I wanted to be kind, and I wanted to be thoughtful, and wanted to be that really good friend, but I just didn't have it in my tank. I just didn't have it in my tank, and now I'm all of them things. I'm really kind, and I'm empathetic, and I'm thoughtful, and I have lost a lot of people along the way, some of whom I don't know that I will get back, because I've caused so much hurt and carnage, and that's fine. I'll make peace with that. Some bridges that I had start to build, and then they're sort of unbuilt, because it's a lot to. I'm this new person now, and some of the relationships that I've lost, that I've tried to kind of rebuild, I don't really know where to start with them, because they knew this whole different version of me. They didn't really even know me. So it's kind of like you have to, where do you even start to kind of, they're coming back. They think they're getting their friend back, but actually they're getting this whole new person.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be grateful for that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said as well, like, if you could go back and speak to the younger you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very powerful, and there'll be people listening to this that are that version of you. I just want you to envision the younger you. What you would say to her now, and to get her out of that.
I mean, I guess it depends what age, but like kid me or.
Yeah, well, kid you and then the older you.
Yeah.
Sorry to spring that on you.
That's fine. No, it's a really good question. It's a really difficult one to answer. Do you know that I'm getting emotional already? I know this is going to happen. I just wanted to be loved and to feel okay. Like, I didn't know why I was always frightened, or I was always sad, or I always felt anxious. I didn't know why I felt that way. And I guess I was always searching for something to make that better. I don't think there's anything you can say to someone that feels that way, because you can't give them an answer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess just reassurance. You know, if you have a loved one in your life that is an addict or that is sick, and they are really upsetting you or hurting you or making you angry or repeatedly doing things that you're like, why the fuck do they keep doing this? Like, it's brutalising everyone. Just know that they are doing that because they are in some kind of pain. And as much as you probably want to bounce their head off of a wall and you are angry with them, they just need holding. You know, they really just need someone to kind of say, what is wrong? You know, what are you feeling? What are you going through? What is causing you to inject that heroin, or, you know, to keep robbing that shop, or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? There is something under there, and it's probably pain. So it's really difficult to give an addict empathy and compassion, because honestly, in active addiction, we are dicks and we are selfish. But they're just people that are scared, that just don't know why they're scared. You know, and I think if I could go back to Kaye, if I could be there for Kaye, I would just be that person that just would be like, it's gonna be all right, like, it's okay, I know what you're feeling is real. Because it was so real to me, what I felt. It was like a tangible pain, but it wasn't real to anyone else. And I couldn't put it into words to make it real to them, you know. So then it became this, almost like this thing that I was making up. And I think part of me started to convince myself that I was making it up, because no one could give me an answer as to why I was feeling that way. So I just needed to be told that it was going to be all right. That would have been impossible for anyone to do, because no one knew it was going to be all right.
Yeah. That was fucking powerful. I cry all the time. Well, thank you for my free therapy session. That was so powerful, and I really, really appreciate your time and coming on.
Thank you.
Is there anything
just
else?
to change and end on more of a happy note, is there any sort of advice you'd give to people sort of maybe going through the same sort of struggles as you, more like positivity or anything that you feel would benefit them who are listening now?
Yeah. Tell people what's going on. You know, stop pretending to be okay, and you know, whatever avenue you have to go down, or whatever phone call, whatever service, whatever fellowship, find other people like you. I have got well because I found a whole bunch of people, a fellowship of people where I don't feel like an elephant in the room. I don't feel like an alien. I found home. I found people that understand me and that think and feel like me. And if you can find your people, you will really truly heal, you know, because you're someone there. and you make sense there, and they make sense to you, and everything becomes authentic, and everyone gets held, you know, like everyone gets held in those spaces. So whatever it is that you're suffering with, whether it's mental health, bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, addiction, go find your people, you know, go find your people that you are at home with, that get you.
I like that. I need to fucking lie down now. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.